Falcon 9 first stage rocket booster stick a landing on a drone ship in the Pacific Ocean. That amazes me. I mean, they do it again and again and again. The first stage rocket comes back down to Earth, lands on a drone ship in the Pacific Ocean. That is cool. I mean, there's the nice landing of the space shuttle. And now we get the rocket booster, which they reuse, and it just lands. And they can reuse it, which is good. It's just cheaper way of going. This is the new way that supplies and satellites are launched. But SpaceX is definitely doing a great job. Elon Musk's private spaceflight company, who has been trying to make space travel more routine and cost-effective, they're boasting their 14th time SpaceX launched into space this year, and it was the 17th time overall that the Falcon 9 first stage safely returned. Again, making it available for reuse. And you go to space.com and find all this information out on what they've done. But this one of the satellites they launched is going to circle the planet every 90 minutes. Every 90 minutes. Global communication satellites delivered to orbit several hundreds of miles above the Earth, traveling at 17,000 miles per hour, Musk wrote on Instagram. He says they will circle the planet every 90 minutes. The SpaceX rocket launched at 5:37 a.m. Pacific time. And it was yesterday from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, in case you didn't hear it and you didn't see it, because you're probably not out in California. People in California, if you were up early, you got to see it. But pretty cool stuff. TechCrunch reported that SpaceX will launch again tomorrow, sending the EchoStar and SES joint high-power communication satellite in space from Kennedy Space Center here in Florida with a reusable Falcon 9 first-stage rocket. Yes, that too will land in the Pacific Ocean. So SpaceX seems like they're doing it, making it happen, and there are NASA folks that actually work with the company, which is kind of cool, but it's Elon Musk, it's the private sector that's doing it. It seems like this is going to be the new frontier, if you will, in space travel. And he's trying to make it possible with his company to be able to someday take people to outer space, to the moon, have a hotel up there. Maybe we get the Intercontinental to build a hotel up there, Four Seasons, somebody. Maybe Motel 6, maybe as much. Those tickets are going to be pricey. They were saying that they were going to have people launch in where they actually went into space, where you're kind of floating around a little bit, and then take you back down. So you're not really going other than into space for like an hour or two, and then take you back down to Earth. They should be doing that, they think, within the next year or so. So that'll be interesting. I don't know what the tickets are going to be. I would think no less than 20, 30 grand. But people will be doing it. There's no shortage. There's people who pay the big bucks to gladly go into outer space and check it out. But I think we'll be around to see this pretty routine. You know, what are you going to? I'm going to go outer space, and I'll be back. Space travel. It'll be neat. We got a lot to learn, that's for sure. Still. All that space debris, though, always makes me nervous. Still doesn't seem to be any solution on trying to gather up a lot of that junk, because what goes up must come down, and a lot of that stuff is gonna come back down, and hopefully these pieces are bigger than a school bus. Some of these metal chunks in NORAD, they look at this stuff. They got all the space debris there, but they're going to have waste management or somebody try to figure out how they can suck this stuff into something and because there's a lot of reusable stuff up there. It's just right now, it's littered. There's just literally thousands of pieces of space junk and debris that's circling our planet too. It's horrible. You know, rockets and this and that, just miscellaneous stuff that's just ridiculous. Seriously, you can go on their website and you can look at it. It's no wonder we junked up our planet here with all our junkyards and everything like that, and we got a junkyard up in outer space. It's horrible. I wonder what UFOs think, if there is any up there, what they think about all that. Them primitive human beings, they haven't figured out how to get the trash out of space. Not yet. It's just dangerous because just one speck of something, even on the space shuttle that hit it, could crack the window because it travels so fast. So at 17,000 miles per hour, even a speck of paint could crack this windshield. So you can imagine something bigger than a speck of paint. Can you imagine? Unbelievable. So this healthcare has got Donald Trump upset, as you can imagine. I mean, many in his base want him to be able to repeal, want to replace it. And the main reason why people know that this thing is imploding is because people's premiums are so high, they just can't even afford it. 80, 90, 100%, 200% in Arizona. Yeah, where Senator McCain is out there. But he ain't feeling their pain. He's not. He's not feeling their pain. He hears the complaints, but he's not doing anything about it. So President Donald Trump said yesterday, and actually he's on the Twitter sphere again today, says he'll use the power of the pen to give great health care to many people fast because Congress has failed to repeal and replace Obamacare. That in his message posted along with other tweets attacking ESPN Democrats over immigration and the NFL. So these are about the two hot topics. But Trump's tweets indicate that he will use, as you just heard me, an executive order, which is a tool often used by his predecessor, Barack Obama. He was ridiculed to get, the changes that he wanted. But I believe justifiably when people are hurting all over this country, it's not just people in Arizona, it's every single state in our country that folks cannot afford their medication. They can't afford to see their doctor. They can't get the care that they need. And they can't get the doctors that they want. Trump is expected to sign the executive order this week to start lifting insurance rules set through the Affordable Care Act, according to the Wall Street Journal. They reported this over the weekend and was quoting a senior administration official. And the order was expected to expand options for Americans, which is good news. Buying coverage on their own for those who work for small employers. So this is good for the small companies and individuals. And this will include instructions for agencies to loosen regulations in hopes of lowering premiums. Now, according to the administration official who was not identified, Trump is expected to order the Departments of Labor, Health and Human Services, and the Treasury to work to allow people to purchase insurance through association health plans, which would resemble large employers' health plans. You heard that? Which would resemble large employers' health plans. And the measure would still fall under the ACA restrictions, such as a ban on lifetime limits. So Trump's expected, folks, to order a pullback on regulations lifting short-term medical insurance, instead allowing people like you and I to buy the lower-cost plans for up to 1 year, reversing the Obama administration ban on the plans for more than 90 days. Now, the presidential promised the order after Senate Republicans did not advance a repeal proposal by Senators Lindsey Graham, Bill Cassidy, which ended Republican efforts to roll back Obamacare at that time. So he's saying, folks, I've given you the chance. I've given the opportunities. You couldn't get it done. So I'm going to use the pen. He's frustrated. And basically, well, this is where President Trump is. He tweeted this out today. He says, since Congress can't get its act together on health care, I will be using the power of the pen to give great health care to many people. He's fed up, folks. And do you blame him? There's just too many folks dragging their feet. Rand Paul drives me crazy. Rand Paul of Kentucky has championed for some time trying to help things out, but at the same time, he's been hurting it. They say the new rules that employers with religious or moral qualms can cover some birth control methods, but not others. The Obama-era rule applied to all FDA methods, including birth control pills and the controversial morning after pill. Trump's rule this week will also could allow for insurers' purchases across state lines. That's a plan Senator Rand Paul has championed for some time, but Trump has agreed with Paul that selling insurance across state lines could bring competition, allowing premium costs to be lowered. But experts say it's not guaranteed, as costs can vary based on geographical location. So Trump's order could damage Obamacare without repealing it. And who reports that? Vox. So such plans do not always have the ACA's essential health care benefit rules or meet requirements over minimum bill coverage. There's a lot of unknowns about how that would work on state lines. It seems like it would be a great idea, but it's going to have somebody that's going to sit there and manage it. And each state's going to have to do accordingly. It's just anything to me would be better than what it is now. It's a big mess, and for a government, first of all, to be involved with healthcare, to me, it should have never even took the pursuit to do it. They're involved with too many things, and I just can't believe that we're having to deal with this particular thing, but it's a monster. And they say one of the reasons because insurance costs are out of control because the insurance companies being so greedy, so it had to be regulated. Get that, understand that. But the debacle of Obamacare and the Democrats denying that there's anything wrong with it is just ridiculous. So anyways, the pen actions this week, and the left is going to be all over this, hating this. But it's going to happen, and it's going to be by executive order. And listen, Obama did it every single day practically by executive order this, executive order that. Release people from jail. Traitors, you know that. A student in Michigan State went outside and found something that looked like a noose, an object. What we see when we look at harmless, neutral objects can say a lot about us. This is Aaron Colleen, the staff writer for The Blaze. Says other times we see what we're scared of. We can only speculate about what may have caused a Michigan State University student to see a leather shoelace hanging on her door last week. There was a report that someone had left a noose outside her dorm. But maybe it's better to simply laugh and be relieved that we don't have yet another racial controversy to deal with. It was a shoelace, folks. Yeah, a student opens the door, finds a shoelace on her door, thinks it's been intentionally fashioned into a noose, so she reports it. And because in her mind it could be a racist threat, the police come, and after a few minutes of investigation, the officers find the other shoelace. So some very serious and important detective work determined that another student living on the same floor lost a pair of shoelaces, and one of them got separated from the other. The third unidentified student most likely walked by, picked up the loose lace off the ground, and hung it on the doorknob for somebody to find that may have lost their shoelace. So in this writer's perspective, she says, with all the tensions on college campuses and in our nation today, racial and otherwise, people are on edge. Hopefully this incident can remind everyone to take a breath, relax, and not always assume the worst. Well said. I think so many people in our country